Welcome to Conversations with Plastics News. Thank you for joining us. My name is Bill Wood. I'm the economics editor for Plastics News, and it is my distinct pleasure to be joined today by Mr. H. Wong, Regional Director for the Americas for DuPont. Mr. Wong is going to talk to us today about a research project that was conducted jointly between DuPont and Plastics News Research. Mr. Wong, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for the invitation.
DuPont and Plastics News Research recently teamed up to conduct a survey of about 800 plastics professionals. What issues were you hoping to address?
Well, thanks for that. Well, first of all, I would like to thank Plastic News for actually collaborating with us on this survey. I think the results that we received were very insightful, and I'll try and share more now over the next few minutes or so. Really, the intent behind running the survey and the project was to try to help us understand a few key trends in the industry. They really were around, what is changing around material and technology needs, and what may be anticipated changes for the role of a material supplier as our industry advances and grows. We were actually very encouraged by the response rate of the survey, as well as the quality of the responses that we received. First of all, we heard from many people who were involved with R&D and with product design. So obviously these are the people that we want to listen to as we work on new developments. The representation from the industries which are very important for us, namely the automotive, the industrial, and the electronics and electrical industry were also very, very well represented. So we have a lot of value for the results that came out from this project that we did together.
Go into a little more detail, if you will, about the main areas that people identified.
Yeah. The first thing we looked at was, what are the issues that people are telling us about? And there were that was a great number of information that we got from this. But I have to say that the top three were really around the environment and the sustainability aspect of things. The second was around, the intensive, competitive global environment that we all operate in. And the third one, which should be no surprise, is really around the instability of oil prices. So over the next couple of minutes, let me try and touch on all three. And let's start first with the environment and sustainability. DuPont Performance Polymers has been in this business of high-performance polymers for a very, very long time now. And we are still extremely confident about the future of the business and the industry that we are in. Ultimately, I think the demand for high-performance polymers will be sustained over a long period of time. So it is obvious that we will need to have viable alternatives for us to make and supply our materials in a more sustainable manner as well. Okay? This is obviously a very important direction for DuPont, not just for my business, but as a DuPont company. And we do still invest a significant amount of our resources and time in this direction to try to build a portfolio of products that are sourced from renewably sourced raw materials as well. It's also pretty much the same for the packaging industry, right? In fact, tomorrow we actually have formed a panel that will talk a little bit about recycling. I think apart from developing and producing materials that are renewably sourced, I think the importance of recycling will increase with time. So tomorrow we actually have convened a panel of thought leaders to talk about the changing mindsets of recycling, advances and changes in recycling technology and machinery, and also to share about success stories around how recycled materials are now very commonly used in everyday products that you and I may even purchase. Okay, so that should be an interesting presentation coming up. The second thing I want to touch on is around competition. Now, competition is something, of course, that we have to live with day in, day out. At a very high level, I think competition is really good for the industry. Okay, I think intense and strong competition forces us, in fact, to better innovate, to better design, to execute things better, to execute things more quickly, and really to keep that focus and energy around efficiency and productivity. So I think that's good to be had from competition. The other thing I like to think about competition is that the fact is that competitive intensity increases for our industry I think it is a testament on the growth prospects for the industry and the attractiveness of our industry. So if the industry was not doing well, you would see competition declining with time rather than increasing as well. So I'm very optimistic
Good
about
point.
that.
Good point.
The Probably one of the most optimistic thoughts I have about the industry that we are in is just, there is, with the wide variety of materials and technologies that we have at our disposal, we are actually a very broad-based industry. There is no one or minimum number of segments or applications or industries that we actually can participate in and can make a difference in. I think everything out there is fair game for us, so the market for us is very, very big. And again, if we collaborate well, we work well together, if we manage the dynamics of the industry and the value chains in which we exist, I think we all have a place to be very, very successful in this going forward. Okay. The third thing I'll touch on is around unstable oil prices. Actually, this touches a little bit on what I mentioned about earlier on regarding the need to develop sustainably sourced products. I think as we have seen over the last few years, oil prices have been very, very volatile. Right? It was not so long ago, it was on the upward trend, and now it's on the downward trend. So I don't think the volatility is going to go away. Okay, now obviously we as industry players will need to be dynamic and nimble enough to manage the volatility. But I think specifically for us as a material supplier, going forward and looking at the future, I think I see it as really a duty for us to be able to give the industry and our customers options to petrochemically derived materials. Okay, now going back on materials that we are working on that are sourced from renewable raw materials. I think that is an option that we absolutely need to give the industry going forward.
Excellent, excellent accounting of the issues. Now, what are some important market trends within the plastics industry?
Yeah, we actually had a two-part question for our customers. All right, so as we've tried to narrow down around the material needs and the trends for our products, the first question we asked in the survey was, how sufficient are the needs of the materials today in meeting your ever-changing product development needs? So we got a number of responses. About a third of the respondents said that the materials today were sufficient. Nearly half, though, felt that the materials that were readily available today were only somewhat sufficient. And about 8% of the respondents felt that a new portfolio of materials would be required. Okay, so when we saw that, there was a follow-up question attached to that one, and so we tried to go into a little bit more detail. If there are deficiencies, what are the deficiencies or improvements that we need to address? And again, three very strong ones came back. They would like to see improved thermal resistance, improved structural capability, and improved durability. So what we're really hearing from the industry is a need for new and better materials to complement their needs around product design and product development. Okay, and just to go further, I mean, the articulated needs actually meshes and dovetails very well with where we as DuPont actually allocate our time and resources for new developments. Okay, a lot of our efforts today are really spent on developing materials that should perform in hotter environments and will also be able to open up the opportunity for us to replace a lot of metal components and metal structures.
So, are there any other factors driving these trends?
Well, as we said, one of the things that drives this trend and one thing that we will need to be better equipped to do is to support our customers, right? So the trends are changing, the needs are there. So how can we as a material supplier better support those needs? I think in the survey, 40% of the respondents actually said that compared to 3 years ago when we did another survey at the previous NPE, 40% of the respondents actually said that the role of the material supplier is more important today than it was then. So clearly the bar has been raised and expectations are now higher. Then why do we think that the role of the material supplier is changing and becoming more important? Based on the comments given from the survey, again, there were a few things there that the respondents actually provided to us as kind of things that they would like to see us do better as material suppliers. The first one is around speed, okay? I think it's well known to all of you involved in the industry. The product development cycle times have been significantly compressed over the last few years and will continue to be compressed further as we move ahead. So it is very important for us to be able to support the speed with which the industry now needs to operate at. So this means that we will need to do things a lot better, like for example, a few key support things that we do for customers. Mold filling analysis, finite element analysis. All these things will need to be done a bit more quicker. As we work with existing materials and develop new materials, it's also very important for us to be testing and characterizing our products more quickly and more efficiently so that we can get the data in front of the product developers and the product designers so that they can actually more confidently use our materials, designing our materials with the minimal number of prototype iterations or prototype cycles. So that's the notion of speed. The second one is that they would like to see us as the industry material suppliers kind of improve on our skills. So what they expect us to do is they expect us to really know our stuff, okay? It's our products, we should know our stuff. So the other thing that they would like us to see is, sorry, let me just see. Okay, the other thing they would like to see again is to better understand industry trends, okay? As we work across multiple industries, we come across many different trends. They like to be able to converse with us a bit more intelligently around their specific industries as well. So not only knowing our stuff, but knowing the industries that we operate in. And the third theme, which definitely should not be any surprise at all, is cost, okay? Obviously, costs and keeping costs down is very, very important. Now, I look at costs as really, I mean, giving cost reduction and providing cost reduction opportunities is what has brought this industry to where it is today. It has been the staple of our value proposition for a very, very long time, right? We talk about, what does plastics do? We integrate function, we minimize the number of parts, we therefore reduce assembly costs, we reduce the different points of failure because your whole design is simpler. So cost actually is something that we have worked with for a long time and we will need to continue to work with for the long term. But it's also been the recipe for our success in the past and therefore will be very, very important for the future as well.
Okay, very good, thank you. Very thorough, very comprehensive, very competent. Share with us, if you will, any other takeaways that you got from this research or from this project.
A couple of takeaways. First of all, the stated needs around material enhancements that we heard, not a real big surprise for us, based on the fact that many of the respondents came from automotive, came from electricals and electronics, okay? Automotive, I think, is very high profile now. There is really a big need for us to remove the mass out of a vehicle, all right? And we will do that through really replacement of many metal components within the part, okay? But however, as we push the envelope of performance and things become more complex and challenging, for us as material supplier, it is no longer about just developing a product and just dropping it in front of a customer or putting it in the industry and hoping that people can make the best out of it. There is that need now for much closer collaboration, because to make something work in plastic that used to be done in metal requires a lot of re-engineering, okay? So if there was ever a need for closer collaboration across all the parties in the value chain, this is probably a good example of it. And actually, this is one of the drivers that really push us to establish up to our 1 dozen or so innovation centers around the world, where we actually can bring any global piece of knowledge in front of any local customer almost instantaneously. So I think that truly gives us a very, very strong value proposition for the customer as well. The other thing I would like to say is that, we clearly heard from the survey that there is a need for new materials. There are opportunities out there and there are changes happening in the marketplace. I think we are more than happy to step up to those opportunities. We will work with the industry to deliver the products that will be required for the future. And the way I like to see is that change always brings some opportunities. So change obviously is going to be a very good thing for us.
Very good. Thank you. That was outstanding.
Okay.
I enjoyed that very much.
Thank you very much.
Our guest today has been Mr. H. Wong, Regional Director for the Americas for DuPont. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Very, very well done.